तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा 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 तेरी तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी याद 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 तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में नहीं हाँ
welcome here to the Unified Advanced League. We are very excited to bring you tonight's series. You know who we are. It's Orbital and Random Mini-Casters from the Skies. And from the Rift, we will be bringing you the last week of the regular season here. Of course, it's not going to be Bethany Esports showing off against the other team. My brain is fried as the slideshow at the beginning was very, very fun. But we do have a brand new set of teams that are also battling for supremacy in the Ocean Division. Tonight, we do have Longhorn Gaming Academy versus Michigan State University.
Yeah, a bit of a familiar face here. We didn't get to see MSU on stream last week, but we did actually cast the games here. I think Orbital hosted on his private stream. So we did get to catch MSU. And unfortunately, last week, they didn't win. And that actually has made the Ocean Division kind of complicated now. If when you look at the standings here for that division, you've got two teams with 3 wins, 3 teams with 2 wins here. So everything's really chaotic and anyone can still make it up.
Yep, and as we get into draft, please keep in mind my brain did not want to work as an update. It was the Manitoba Bisons that were slated to play against Bethany Esports Black. So hopefully we can get a little update on that series later for all of those fans that were hoping to see them here tonight. Hopefully we can still bring you a fantastic show. Now tonight, once again, as you stated, RMC, these 2 teams will be battling for supremacy of this group. Everything is in the air. Most notably, it's not so much the head-to-heads, right? It's not like, hey, even if we win this one or we lose this one, we still have the head-to-head against someone else. It's quite literally everyone somehow got a leg over someone else, and even the 5th team in this bracket could still make their way in. So it's going to be a crazy, crazy time. Let's go ahead and get into the draft, though. LGA on the blue side, MSU on the red. And of course, it is the Fiora and Shaco. These are 2, I did take a little bit of a peek. These are very much targeted bans coming out here.
Yeah, okay. The Fiora, I think that's something that we're more comfortable with. Levacious does play a lot of Fiora, and more importantly, it is the self-champion that enables him to be able to carry a game regardless of how the team's performing. Shaco, though, come on. This is not support Shaco, man. This is targeted at Kan Young So, the jungler of Longhorn Academy, and it's a very unique pick. It's a very uncommon pick to see, but Kan Young So has over 1,000 games on it, so yeah, you just take it off. You don't want to have to deal with the annoyance in the early game here.
Yeah, chasing after Pink Ward there, that's what you're doing, or Shakelone, one or the other. Yes, those are 2 very old hand names. If you know who those 2 players are, hats off to you. But going into the rest of them, we go ahead and take a look. The Kane banned away. This is one that's actually been sneaking up a little bit. I think in some of these games, a lot of teams are actually starting to get used to playing with it, as well as having a difficult time dealing with it. So a rightful ban away, follow up on the other side is the Samira targeted at Sandwich. Yeah,
and that Kane a little bit as well. Penguino's not actually played that much Kane here in the UAL. It's more of a solo queue pick for him. So I feel like maybe it's not necessarily the strongest pick against him here. Jarvan has been a much stronger pickup for him. I'm remembering his games last week with the Trundle as well here. So he's going to be happy with that, but there we go. The J4 ban does come out against Penguino, and the Samira Graves coming up from the side of MSU here. The Samira, again, very targeted at the bot laner Sandwich here, but they're going to be okay. They don't necessarily need to pick that Samira. It's not meta. Instead, Misfortune being hovered, and she's probably the most meta AD carry right now.
It's weird to hear Misfortune as one of the champions that's basically gone from actually a support AD role directly into the hard carry. That's the crazy thing about it, right? This champion, if you remember back into one of the worlds, I keep forgetting, I think it was 2015 or 2016, it was one of the Ashe Misfortune lane matchups. Now, the other ADC that has come out is the Lucian. It is one that we all know and love, and we know when a Lucian is picked up, whether or not you like it, usually a Nami is short to follow.
Yeah, interestingly enough, though, MSU are hovering that Trundle. Not locked in yet, might just be Penguino fooling around. It's worth noting as well. Okay, there you go. There's the Nami hover. I was going to say, you can't afford to not pick that Nami, which they just did. You can go with other supports instead. Things like the Lulu, like the Yumi. You just need an Enchanter. Nami needs Lucian, not the other way around here. So for the side of Longhorn, if you're trying to take away that Nami right now, you risk being counterpicked in the support role. And if you don't pick the Nami, then you risk giving Lucian his most comfortable support.
Well, best way to lock it down is to put that Braum potentially in that pocket, and they do. So it is going to be locked in, and now matching that jungle pickup is going to be the Olaf. So we have mirror pickups between the bot lane and the jungler, hoping to potentially see some top and mid bans and picks.
Yeah, and I want to touch a little bit on this Braum pickup for the Misfortune, because it's not something that we see, as a best pairing with Misfortune. I think it's partially a takeaway as well. You just want to deny the Unbreakable from coming out, and Braum actually has a pretty okay lane into that Nami as well. You're not a ton of kill threat, but you can negate a lot of that engage as well to protect your backline. So I like the Braum pickup here, and for the side of Longhorn, I expect to see some sort of AoE come out from one of the solo lanes here now to enable that Misfortune. Braum's great for the disengage, but trying to initiate with Glacial Fissure is a little risky.
Yeah, we either see some hit or misses when it comes to that Glacial Fissure. Usually it's almost used as a deterrent, not so much you're going to try and knock anyone up. That's really just a non sequitur. It's just there. That's all it really is. So taking a look at the ban so far, targeted pretty heavily into the top lane. Even the Silas can be seen as a top lane ban, although it would be flexed. Now the final one coming out here from LGA saying, hey, look, we see your composition. We don't want to give those ornaments over. So they rightfully ban the Ornn away.
Okay, a little bit surprised by the Ornn ban. I was thinking Ornn might actually work pretty well for Longhorn Academy here, but they don't have the first pick. Please don't troll me again with that Tryndamere. Last week, It wasn't Zethel in the mid lane. It was Lance in the mid lane, and he played that Tryndamere mid. I'm glad to say he didn't win on it, but he did very well on it. I just personally hate Tryndamere mid. Instead, the Gnar coming through from the side of MSU here.
Yeah, I think there was a game win, not a series win on it though. So you can still ride that one home. The Gnar though, it's locked in the Teemo hover. Of course, I don't think those changes have actually gone through yet. So we aren't going to see Teemo terrify the Rift like in the past. Instead, it is going to be the Wukong. This is a tried and true matchup once again in the top. So pretty much standard for both these squads.
Yeah, and I really like this Wukong top lane because we're talking about some sort of engage, some AoE to enable that Misfortune. Wukong does that and wins the lane and acts as a potential ball delivery system for this Orianna. I think Longhorn Gaming Academy will be very happy with what they've picked up here. But MSU, when we saw them last week, it's not about the composition a lot of times for them. It's about enabling individual players to be able to make those plays. So they're probably okay with it. They're deciding what they want for that last pick here. And I like the Corki here. Corki into Orianna is a matchup we've seen plenty. It's incredibly non-interactive in the laning phase. Both sides just kind of farming out. But the late game, Corki has the range advantage. And then at that point, you just kind of dodge out, avoid the ball as much as possible, and try and poke people down, carry the fight when your AD carry, if your AD carry gets caught.
Yeah, not just that, it also brings about a secondary option for that Nami, right? It is the option that, hey, you can put some of those abilities and those spells onto another AD in case the Lucian falls behind. Now, I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it's an opportunity, so I think it's really on LGA here with all the carries, with all the possibilities that we know MSU as a squad that likes to kind of play counterattack. They like to kind of poke and prod at your defenses and try and break you down that way. With the Otis kind of be on LGA, this team that wants to go in, do you see their compositions zoning together well? Do you see it connecting well, or do you think there's going to be some disjointed interactions?
Ooh, okay. So I think for Longhorn, it's everything just works well together. There's not a lot to look into for their compositions. Stereotypical wombo combo. MSU, I think their composition works very well together as well for the most part. I mean, Lucian can afford to sit back a little bit. Yes, he's been changed up, so the cull is not quite as strong a poke tool as it used to be, but when you build crit, it still works here. So you combine that with the Corki, you've got a lot of range, and then Nami, Trundle, Gnar. That gives you so much zone control. Trundle and Gnar specifically have that nice interaction where you can always raise the pillar to set up for that big Gnar ultimate coming through, knock all of them into that Trundle pillar as well. So MSU, they have the answers they need against an engaged composition. They've got the kite, they've got the disengage. The question just comes down to execution. And when you hit this level, Orbital, honestly, you should have the skills to be able to pull it off. It's very much just about trying to avoid the initial engage, and the initial engage coming through from Longhorn is going to be fairly linear. If you can block out, if you can cut out the likes of Syncrasy there from finding his way in with that Wukong, they can't actually start a proper fight.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's go ahead, bring out and talk about the rest of the players that will be joining Syncrasy on this Rift. On the blue side, it will be Longhorn Gaming Academy. Syncrasy in the top lane. Kind Young Soul, you touched on him in the jungle. Sonder in the mid lane. Sandwich at ADC. And Bob Chucky Joe will be rounding it out at support.
Something about that name is just cracks me. Bob Chucky. And on the red side here, Orbital, it's going to be MSU with Levacious in that top lane, Penguino in the jungle, Zetho coming in mid, Bubashar and Selenius in that bot lane here.
Yep. Once again, these teams, these are ones that we know are playing with quite a bit on the line, right? Like we said, it is a playoff berth that you're pretty much fighting for here. Again, top 4 out of each group is going to make it into the playoffs, so it's almost more about seeding. But considering the bottom 3, like you said, are currently sitting at 2-2, you really just don't want to lose. That's it. That's the whole game plan. It's weird to say, but it's true. And to lose here right at the very end would be one of the harder things to kind of write home about.
Yeah, and I think that applies more to the side of MSU here. They were first in their division last week actually, and then ended up dropping that series to Return of the Middle Six. That has put them in this position now. They're really the ones playing to not lose here. And for the Ocean Division, there are only 5 teams in there, so one of the teams don't make it out. To go from first to not making out would be probably the most painful thing possible. And for Longhorn here, they are not super comfortable either. If they lose here, then they are now banking on, well, I guess it's a fairly safe bet. Mad Monkeys losing to Return of the Middle Sticks. I think that is the more expected result of that matchup, but it still puts them in a very awkward situation, and you don't ever want to have to be forced into tiebreakers like that.
You never want to have that situation occur, but we do see the level 2 hit, but immediate level 2 back, and Bubashire actually wasn't expecting that damage. They're actually going to flash after it. I think they got the kill. Bubashire, one more hit. That's going to be the auto attack, taking it home as Sandwich is able to pick a 1, and now the concussive blows finds a lone fish. One more auto attack will take it, and Bob Chucky Joe sets him up, knocks him down, 1 kill apiece to the bottom lane of LGA.
Yeah, and that felt like a little bit of disrespect in that bot lane there. You can't be fighting Braum in the middle of a minion wave like that. Braum is so tanky, soaking now top side. Syncrasy has the flash.
Syncrasy not enjoying that battle, is able to dodge out on the second wallop. But Levacious still won that trade in every single aspect. LGA going to be saying, hey, we got to win it out on the bot side. Now this jungle fight, Penguino not enjoying this as the Olaf flashes after Penguino. Now Sonder is going to follow through. That's command dissonance. One more auto attack will do it. And all of a sudden, LGA are running away with this game. 3-0 to start things off. Now they're going to follow through with one more. Levacious can't find a way out. Longhorn Gaming Academy take 4 before 3.5 minutes.
That's effectively almost a kill in every single lane. The only person who didn't go down from MSU here was Zetho, and that second round of action, honestly, I thought MSU was making the right move. Penguino gets in there, he steals away the blue buff. The problem is just the rotation coming through from that mid lane was quicker. Sonder able to get the kill, now has double buffs as well, and Zetho not going to be happy. He didn't die, but now he's going to struggle to try and lane against this Orianna.
We know how bad a double buff Orianna can be, right? Everyone's seen Worlds. Everyone's seen the matches that we see that occur. It's not fun. And so you can see Penguino looking towards that mid lane, looking towards that lane matchup and saying, hey, maybe I can help out my mid laner. But it's not going to happen, right? Back they go. Try and farm things up as well as they can. And just wait for another bout of damage that LGA can bring out.
Yeah, and the big reason why Penguino can't look for a gank in that mid lane is because of the hover from Kind Young Soul. They know for the side of Longhorn that their bot lane's getting shoved in. There's no kill threat there, so they just need to shadow mid lane. Penguino couldn't be top because of, unfortunately, the way his camps were cleared. He had to kind of go back towards that bot side there, so really well played from Longhorn to make sure that they maintain this lead. And now the question is, with these 4 kills you have, with this 2,000 gold lead, where do you go from here? You have the Olaf. He is possibly one of the best, if not the best, early game jungler when he has a lead here. And I want to see him try and get into the lanes a little bit more, make that action happen. And the bot lane's probably the easiest lane to try and punish with Olaf.
We've seen it once before already on the top side, and you can see Kan Young Sol looking like he wants to try and fade towards his bottom lane, but a little bit of disjointed right there. Braum went in when Miss Fortune went out, but it's still going to go for it again. They have the exhaust again, and they just got the kill. Again. You said there wasn't any kill pressure. RMC, I think you lied. Bob Chucky Joe is actually going to get an extra shield, and the bubble's not going to be the end. That is going to be Sandwich picking up 2 this time, and LGA are running away with this bottom lane.
What I said, Orbital, was there's no kill pressure on Longhorn, not from Longhorn. My goodness, this Braum pick from Bob Chucky Joe here really punishing Nami Lucian. And I love to see it as well because Nami Lucian, I think people have over-indexed a little bit too hard into how strong they are. Yes, they are strong, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, Braum, early game, is one of the strongest, especially if he ever gets in melee range of you there. You need to, again, not fight in the minion waves. It's giving the free engage, where Bob Chucky Joe right now is hopping to the minions, not to safeguard the minions, but just as a way to land that first auto, get that slow, and then follow up with the punish.
I also have to give huge props. Whenever that exhaust comes up, there is no hesitation behind that support jump in, right? That's the huge key factor. As long as the exhaust is up, they know they win, right? There is no chance for Bubba Shire to find a win, and I think they execute that on a flawless level. So giving that Miss Fortune so much extra gold, right? 3-0 to 0-2. Sandwich already has that Noon Quiver in his pocket, so he gets a huge trade-off too. Bubba Shire, I think he just got back to lane and immediately lost 50% of his HP.
Yeah, that double up, if you get hit by it there, really stings. Now, I do want to point out Dragon was taken earlier during that fight, and it did go over the way of Longhorn, and it's going to keep going that way right now. The benefits of the fact that Sandwich is getting so far ahead is that that bullet time is going to come online sooner and hit harder in a team fight, and you're already a team fighting composition. So MSU, I want to see them try and make cross-map plays here. If ever they catch Kan Young So on the bot side of the map, I want to see them blitz down this Herald. Levacious has managed to equalize that top lane, and Zethel is still in a fairly decent state in the mid lane, so it's really just down to Penguino trying to track Kan Young So and the difference between these two junglers.
And so far, it's just felt like Kan Young Sol has been in the right spot at the right time, right? On that top side, challenging Penguino for that buff, and then following up the rest of his team. He's been able to piggyback his way into a decent lead, right? That is going to be the Iron Spike Whip coming out in accordance, and already has gotten all 5 smites. That is the 5th smite for Penguino. Most notably, though, Penguino did run that, I believe it is that Hunter, is going to be looking to chase someone in a little bit faster, going with those boots first, so delaying his damage just a bit.
Yeah, and I actually really like the Predator Trundle builds that we've seen come out. It lets you position so much easier, and then you can really use that pillar as a denial tool rather than as an engage tool to come in. So I do like seeing it, but it does mean that you have to gank, right? If you're taking that Predator rune, it's not to just move around the map and farm faster. Ooh. Interesting attempt in the bot lane, spicy there. Exhaust was up, but that's why I kind of said facial fissure as an engage, not terribly reliable.
The thing is that they actually feel confident enough that they can throw the ultimate as just a, hey, let's give it a shot, right?
True.
At this point, LGA feel and know that they rule the Rift so much that even losing that Glacial Fissure isn't going to cause them any problems. The Cyclone is going to be popped, though, and a flash in. Oh, Syncrasy is possibly going to get away. No, one more chunk is going to be it. Yeah, you're going to go down. That is going to be the kill, but a couple tower shots does mean Kan Young Sol is going to try and pick it up. Meanwhile, bottom lane, this is looking a little bit hairy. Remember, no Glacial Fissure, but they can easily dive under the tower, and that's just a quick double up. Both Shire is going to get the last death. And Bob Chucky Joe with that shot is going to find a shockwave on the top side, as LGA are not stopping at all. Yes, you sacrifice one, but it just doesn't matter. This is going to be Zethel being able to grab one back. But the damage is done. Everything has collapsed. 10-3 LGA rule supreme with a 3.2k lead.
At the end of that, ultimately a 3-for-4, but let's break that down, because 3-for-4 makes it sound like Longhorn Academy won that with more kills, but topside, they actually lost that. It was a 2-3 trade in that topside. Levacious and Penguino here we talked about the fact that Levacious has stabilized that top lane. He's more than stabilized it. This is starting to go in his favor a little bit, and he's been playing so well around mini and mega form. Syncrasy saw him go mini, tried to punish, but Penguino was waiting in the wings, and that's one of the benefits of that Predator letting you move so quickly there. And Zetho being able to pick up a kill on the back end as well is going to help along the mid lane. But the bot lane, MSU is still hemorrhaging in that bot lane. Bot lane was a 2 for 0. Perfect turret dive. Bob Chucky Joe with that stopwatch as well, using it so perfectly to drop aggro. They've done that 3 times now. That's 3 times they've solo killed this bot lane. And MSU here, if your Nami and Lucian are this far behind, it's effectively going to be a 5v4 or 5v3 later on when you're trying to fight objectives.
And the best part is LGA are just like, yeah, this is great because it's an Infernal Drake next. We rule the bottom side, right? We don't even have to worry about anyone challenging. They get a free dragon. With no towers down means that they, I want to say, potentially have strength on the third as well. It's going to get so dicey for MSU. Meanwhile, Asunder having a bit of trouble against Zetho in that mid lane. Again, Zetho has been power bombing pretty well. 100 CS to his name. Already got 1 kill in the back pocket. So matching pretty well across the board. MSU still needing to find that window of opportunity, especially since Penguino has 2 of the 3 kills for their team.
Yeah, and Penguino, while that dragon was happening, did exactly what I called for, cross map play, but back down to the bot lane. TP's coming in.
Yeah, they just don't care. This is LGA running rampant right now. They pick up 1 and even burn the teleport, but the most important thing is to get first tower or try to. As on the top side, the Rift Herald was dropped, and on the back of Levacious, who has also done his own part, shutting out Syncrasy, is able to even things up. 1 tower apiece, still 3k in the lead, but a second tower charge off of first Rift Herald is going to give a huge opportunity for Levacious if he wants to split push that top lane.
Yeah, Levacious up 1,000 gold here. The only lane that's really winning for the side of MSU. Granted, mid and jungle are fairly balanced. Then the bot lane, we already touched on that, hemorrhaging away. But it stems from that Herald play, from Penguino correctly recognizing, hey, I can't contest this dragon. We know they're there. I'm going to go for Herald instead. And then, as soon as the dive begins, they see the TP from Sonder. That's the call. Okay, guys, we know we just pushed top right now. And because they have the Herald, they end up taking it quicker. It's still not ideal for MSU, but it's a start and it's a way to come back in, and I like what I'm seeing here. They don't need to win immediately, they just need to stall. The biggest concern for them is going to be in 3.5 minutes when that dragon spawns here. Can they contest with third Drake? And if they can't, can they hold out for some?
Thankfully for them, right, it's not the Infernal Soul, it's not that Ocean Soul that means the fights become increasingly more difficult. It's a Cloud Soul, right? It's one of the more non-threatening ones that you don't have to deal with directly, right? Indirectly, it means that the ultimates for LGA will be up a lot more, and it means that they can do this, right? That is going to be the run in. This is going to be LGA, though, going the fight a little bit too deep. Kind Young Soul is a young soul indeed as he takes the fight a little bit too rough, but that is going to be the Cyclone to win. Syncrasy is able to trade it right back, but Levacious is trying to get Meganar. Is he going to get it? Yes, he does get the throw. That's a huge throw against the wall, but can he get more? Another concussive blow is going to lock him up, and they trade it back. The gold lead is going to be won, and a quick flash into the ulti means a trade! Double up! All right, Sandwich makes it a great trade. A 2 for 4 at 14 minutes means LGA take home a great bag of gold.
A lot of really good individual plays coming through from members, but the very start of that fight, Orbital, had me scratching my head. Kind Young Soul, as you mentioned, a little bit young there, I think, going in a little bit green. The team was there to back him up, and that's one of the things you have to remember as an Olaf. You've got Ragnarok, no one else does, and you could see the tidal wave came out. And sure, Kind Young Soul completely unfazed, but you're diving into 4 members, and the rest of the team could not get through that tidal wave. That alone should have spelled the end of Longhorn Gaming's aggression, their push in as well. But because of the lead they had acquired, because Babashar and Selenius are so far behind right now, they didn't actually get to fight. You saw Babashar pushed out almost immediately. He hardly got any damage out. And then at the very end, the double up from Sandwich as well. Honestly, probably not worth, because there was a massive bounty on Sandwich and you dove under the turret. But still, to be able to pick 2 off for free at the back end of that there, that's got to feel mentally really bad for MSU right now.
to be tower dove that much by an ADC of all things and have to take it kind of on the chin, I agree with you wholeheartedly. They're not enjoying that, right? What they can enjoy is the fact of a majority of those kills plus bounties has fallen directly into Zethel's pocket. That means he is now leaps and bounds ahead of Asander right now after he already completed that Cole as well. So he is going to be drastically far ahead. Already is starting to stack that min immune. Is looking to, I think he will either be running into, I want to say, a little bit of, my brain is escaping me right now. I'm trying to think of the mythic that he wants to go for. Either way.
Shield bow, I believe.
Shield bow. Okay, that does make sense. And the shockwave. All right, I can't even talk about itemization because I thought it was interesting. No, Penguino's about to die, and Sonder takes it with a little help from Simic.
Yeah, this bot lane right now is just not a place that MSU can play around. I don't care who you have there. Top side, though, definitely is. Look at Levacious just beating up on Syncrasy there. And even Mini, he's just running down.
Yeah, this is the power of Divine Sunder that no top laner really enjoys. If that last Q had landed, Secrecy would have been down to about 100 to 200 HP. I don't doubt it for a second. Levacious is going to get a huge win on the top side. Most notably, though, they are put on soul points, so LGA banking on the fact that Levacious, even though he's 0-3-2, has a great handle on that top lane.
Yeah, and they have to give up their dragon. It's really not something they can contest at this current point in time. Unfortunately, their most fed member, Zito, who, as you can see, the only one, actually, second highest gold on the map, so that's pretty nice. But even then, he's not completed his Mirror Mana just yet here. It is only at 261 stacks, and as you point out, Mythic not quite done. They've found Tiny Young Soul.
Yeah, and this time he's actually having a little bit of trouble. Almost picks up the kill, but Zethel is going to get away with quite literally 1 HP, I think. He is living on a breath and a prayer as Selenius is going to basically walk him right back out to a plant.
If anything, any extra thing had come through, one more auto, one more undertow had landed, Zethel goes down there, but as it stands, he gets out alive. Flash is blown, though, and MSU, you can't really afford to make mistakes like that when you are behind. Granted, it's only about 1,500. They've actually bridged the gap pretty well here, but because of the way their comp functions and because of the deficit Babashire and Selenius is in, you cannot afford to give that up. The next time that happens, it might cost you a soul, a Baron. This time, it's going to cost you a Herald, and that's probably the lightest price you could have paid.
Just going to go ahead and possibly pick that one up for Simic. Was thinking about jumping onto Selenius, but it's like, I heard some yelling from a Trundle over there. I'm not going to chance it. Second Rare Tailed is going to be nice, possibly drop top. I think to kind of open up the base a bit more, open up the chances of Syncrasy being able to lead that lane. Meanwhile, bottom side is Sonder. Damage coming through, showing Zethel who's boss.
Yeah, and actually, Sonder is not that far ahead, if at all, from Zethel's build right now. So Zethel has to be a little bit careful that he doesn't get hit by the chunk. Herald drop mid. They're going to try and brute force this here. And look at who's not there. Zethel and Levacious, the two bigger members of MSU, aren't even there. And Longhorn's even calling the teleport for a full 5 force.
Yeah, they can actually get a third shot off if they body block this. And yeah, they're going to try and get a third shot off. Are they going to break the base here at 19? Oh, good smite. All right. That was well played by Penguino. However, losing 2 towers straight to just an out of nowhere push feels like an MSU mistake more than an LGA win.
Well, I think LGA played that very, very well because I know that we're thinking of, maybe Herald top. That's not really an option with Levacious there. He is the strong point of MSU right now. And bot was a bit of a hard push because the minions weren't quite in the right state, and Zethel is there, did complete the Immortal Shield Bow, so after the initial chunk from Saunders, he's able to just lifesteal back up here. So I think mid lane was the perfect play. They see the 2 carries on the side. They're like, okay, it's Babashar, it's Selenius. If you defend this, we dive you. Same thing with Penguino. You're kind of squishy as that Trundle right now. Trinity Force being the first, the mythic here for the Trundle. Not something we see a ton of right now, and not something I think is the most efficient buy in your current circumstances when your team is already down so much in terms of gold and pressure.
Man, if that Divine Thunder were on, the red buff wouldn't have reset, That's totally what would have happened. Nah, I don't know. Penguino, though, is able to pick up that red buff. Not going to be handed over to Babashire. because as much as I hate to say it, he is in the pits, right? Bubba Shire, this Lucian that we had some eyes on, you know, trying to see how well he was going to play, is 0-4-1 down. I want to say 50 CS, close to 60 right now, right? This is a ridiculous difference between the Lucian and Misfortune, and I think you hit it right on the head, right, at the beginning of the match, saying, hey, a lot of people put a lot of stock into this Lucian Nami matchup. Maybe it's not as great as some people say.
Well, it's certainly one that you have to play more respectfully against engaged supports or supports that can really punish you now. And for Bubashire as well, the big problem with Lucian is that when you're behind, it can be very difficult to get back into the game. You're relying very heavily on culling, because if all your other skills are short range, and if you're in range for anything, a Wukong Cyclone, an Undertow, a Shockwave, you're dead. Longhorn. I like the thought here. They've cleared out the vision. They know it's clean right now. Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds. This is normally where teams will start setting up vision, but MSU was actually late to rotate, and now they're trying to find Zethel. ETP.
And they pull the teleport at such a crucial dragon. This is pretty much giving over the fact that this dragon is gone. However, with it being 15 seconds till it comes up, they're actually calling a teleport over. They're gonna try and force MSU, saying, hey, we're calling your bluff. You can stay on the bot side all you want. We're gonna bait out this Baron. Is this going to be the chance that MSU have been looking for? They're going to face check. They are split a little bit. This is a 3-2 pinch, and that's blocked by the Braum shield, and out behind the back wall, that is going to be a little bit of pinch, but Zethel, is he going to be able to survive? He gets exhausted, and he gets killed. Bob Chucky Joe is going to live through, and that's a huge shockwave. Oh, the combo. Longhorn Gaming Academy send MSU packing as they take 4. Levacious is going to get 1 in return, is going to pick up the shutdown at the cost of his own life. And LGA pull an ace from 1 and are going to look to either take the inhibitor, the Baron, or a dragon. They have so many options, they don't even know what to take.
Why not both? They can send Kan Young-So to solo that dragon here, as he has been throughout this game, and everybody else just push into the base. You can always fall back on Baron as well. And MSU, they won't be able to fully respond now. They do have to be aware of base timings, though. If they stick around too long, MSU can just all respawn and try and rush down that Baron ASAP. Bullet time is still down. Shockwave coming back up, but for now, still down after that monumental catch onto all the remaining members of MSU.
You want to know the worst thing that I feel right now for MSU? Is the fact that they couldn't even rush Baron, right? With Soul from Cloud, you get tripled out of combat move speed, right? LGA will be at Baron by the time you even try and set it up. It means MSU are completely cut off from any of the global objectives right now. And considering it's 21-7, as long as LGA are close, there's no chance that MSU will have to even try and contest this. It's only going to be Selenius, maybe. They're going to call the TP. Again, take a look. Levacious is nowhere close. Yeah, so it's going to be a 4-on-5. Who can even steal? Right, it's Zethel. They're going to try and get a little bit of a rocket sent over. A nice bubble into Bob Chucky Joe's pocket. Can't block the tidal wave. It goes very, very low over the wall to go, but no, it is going to be smited away. Now Penguino is going to pay for a bullet time ripping through 3 other members, and even though it's very, very low HP, one more double up. Oh, Selenius brings death to their ADC. That is going to... Alright, I was going to say something about Selenius, but no, Kan Young-So tried to one-up me there and went straight into death.
Okay, yeah, that Zethel damage caught me a little bit off guard. Let's take a quick look at what Zethel has in his pocket, because that was a big rocket coming out of his pocket. Immortal Shield Bow, Mira Mana, Sword Boots, and just the Sheen. Okay, I guess it's more Kan Young-So just not having the tanky stats, only really with the Gore Drinker and the Bramble Vest there. Yeah, Kan Young-So right now has to be very, very careful. Yes, he's very far ahead of most people, but not Zethel.
Oh, no. The chain CC stun. No. Is Sonder going to get away? That's a jump up. Nope. Wallop is done. I was going to say if Sonder was able to survive that, it means the situation is much worse than we thought for MSU. It's still pretty bad, but at least Levacious can still 1v1.
True. And that's actually a pretty important pick that they got both onto Kan Young-So and to Saunders now, because that Baron buff is not being well utilized by Longhorn Gaming. They have to kind of play back a little bit. They have a numbers disadvantage here, and we saw how impactful that shockwave from Sonder was. So if they don't have that up, they probably aren't necessarily looking to fight here. And by the time Saunders is back up, there's only going to be roughly about a minute left on that Baron here. And with the wave states, MSU have done a pretty good job of keeping everything, you know, fairly neutral here. So they shouldn't really get more than half a wave or one full wave maybe of time with one of the inhibitor turrets.
Ooh. Little bit of a chase down here. Levacious almost got caught out. But a nice bounce out means that he is going to survive. So that just means 4 members bot lane with the remainder of this Baron buff. They're going to try and get at least one more tower. Didn't want to chance the inhibitor, no reason to go for it just yet. Instead, just pick up a little bit of freestanding gold.
Yep, and this is the last wave with Baron buff here. So I like that they're grouped up, they're pushing. Penguino is nowhere in sight here, and I think that is an issue for MSU. He has no teleport. He should not be all the way mid lane when you're seeing this full rotation here. They might actually be able to get onto this turret.
Yeah, with Levacious having his Narvar down to about half, I mean, you can't chance it, right? You can't go in because you're going to immediately turn to Mini-Gnar, and that means this cannon minion is just going to start beating away at the tower. This should be LGA opening up a chance at another inhibitor. Just a couple shots, Sandwich clearing that out one so quickly. And now they're going to push. Now a little bit of a chase in. This is going to be inhibitor number 1 going down.
Okay, and Zetho looking for the flank. He's got the package here.
Yeah, and that's going to be a shield up, so Tidal Wave isn't going to land. They're going to have to chase pretty dang far for this. That's going to be the Predator popped. Are they actually going to go for it? Penguino wants to, but immediately stopped by the concussive blows. Winter's bite slowing him down, so Bob Chucky Joe, once again, the enabler in the early game and the denier here in the late.
Yeah, really well played from them. And MSU at that point, kind of the moment they were spotted, Zetho got spotted on the side, they can't really go anymore. Oh, 1v1.
Yeah, Shockwave into that damage. Zetho is just waiting, and that's still the kill. Zetho, he is so tanky. Now it's a 1v1 between the support and mid laner. I don't think he's going to win, but that's the exhaust. One more auto attack is going to do it. Sandwich looking to try and help out. That's going to be the auto attack. Sandwich is able to take it home. But my gosh, Zetho still showing off that you have to be worried about him.
Okay, overall, it's F to pay respects, X to doubt. What should we give Zetho here? I mean, like, okay, questionable going one, like into multiple in the back line. He didn't know where everybody was, but at the same time, you gotta respect this man for what he just tried to pull there, and he almost did it too. He burnt Glacial Fissure and Exhaust. Is it gonna matter when they're running double clouds? No, not really. But still, he almost pulled off a 1v2 in a situation where MSU has been trailing almost the entire game.
Again, it feels like MSU, they're hanging on by threads that are slowly turning into very, very heavy ropes. It's the chance to come back in this game, and it sounds impossible, right? This should not be a game that they should be able to come back, but when Zetho can do that, to one of your primary carries who, by the way, went Glass Cannon, has no Zanya's Hourglass, meaning if Saunders steps out just a little too far, 3 auto attacks should take their life, MSU will always have a chance, but the Wombo combo is much more likely. So that is a ward in the back line, pink ward in the pit. MSU have it warded out. LGA on the Elder first.
It started up, and Elder is kind of tanky, but when you're this fed, look how quickly it's going down here. Levacious has no rage bar.
Oh, and Sandwich is actually getting soloed out. Are they just going to let him die? No, that's going to be a kill on the first side, but that's Sandwich down. That's Sandwich dead. That's going to be the single kill. Levacious now going to fall next. Penguino still waiting around 5.5k or 4.5k, and Penguino went a little bit too early. He's going to have to try and survive, but no, gets cut down where he stands. And it's all down to Zetho, who gets flashed on by the Wukong. It is going to be taken away. LGA say thank you very much. Yes, we lost a few members, but it doesn't matter when we wipe you out. Gore Drinker, or that is going to be the Bloodthirster possibly coming through. Yeah, that's going to be keeping him alive for a little bit longer. Bob Chucky Joe saying, hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. 2-0-19. This support is on fire and unkillable. LGA with a 28-11 lead are looking to close it out with Elder.
Levacious still down for about 5 seconds with Penguino here. Zetho being down is the big one, and Longhorn still aren't trying to blitz this one here. They could have pushed in with Elder, look to try and end it quickly. Without Zetho, there's no real kill threat, but they're playing it by the numbers, by the book. They're going for the Baron here. And honestly, I actually think this gives MSU one last chance, one last opportunity here, because Zetho will be up for the last fight.
That Immortal Shield Bow, I went through 3 different names, and apparently none of them were correct. So Immortal Shield Bow kept him alive for way longer than I thought, right? And with the with the Infinity's Edge potentially coming out, he needs quite a bit of gold. But if he can somehow manage to pick that one up before the next major team fight, that could be an insane buff that MSU were looking for.
I don't know if he's got quite enough gold to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but it's
know
the
if he
idea.
can
It's the hope. It's a
find-
dream.
Yeah, I don't know if he can find enough minutes. Maybe if he aces this fight, yes, he'll have gold. But he needs to win this fight first. Elder is still ticking here for about another minute roughly, and look how quickly Longhorn are just dismantling their structures right now.
Vaish's still on Mininar means that he's not going to have a chance to really help this one out. Double inhibitor down. Wave should be crashing in shortly. They can't rotate to top lane because, of course, that lane is also pushed out. So MSU have a little bit of time. Can Levacius stack up enough? Can he start getting that Mega Gnar? Because that's going to be the key. First Nexus Tower is down. Chance right back out, and the wave is down. So the wave is down, and they're going to chance it. Zila goes in without the rest of the team, and they're going to try and fight it, but that's the first kill, and a quick slaughter to rule them all here in game 1 before Levacius could even hit Mega. He is going to get stunned, rooted kill, triple kill for Sandwich as Longhorn Gaming Academy take a convincing game number 1.
Orbital, not what I expected when I saw this matchup on paper here, right? Like, we keep in mind that, again, MSU was first seed in their division till last week here. They come in Longhorn Gaming Academy. I mean, they're tied 3rd to 5th right now. So, again, it's just one series that separates them. But it still did separate them. And coming into this game right away, Longhorn Gaming Academy's bot lane impressed me. Sandwich and Bob Chucky Joe. I laughed at the name initially. I'm not laughing right now because that Braum was nothing to laugh at whatsoever. He just took over the lane. And as you point out, in a lot of those team fights, he was covering the escapes. The Unbreakables were absolutely on point to try and deny pretty much anything that was coming out of MSU there. So going into game 2, I don't think it's a draft issue. I think MSU's draft is, it's okay. In fact, the last 2 picks definitely worked out. It's more how they played the lane. And I think Lucian Nami can lane into Braum Misfortune. I think a lot of it was just early not respecting the minion waves. The fact that your own stacked minion waves can shaft you if Braum is using them as an initiate force. So MSU, if they want to run it back, I'm okay with that. It's just that they need to fix their early game.
Yep, I think you are very much correct, and it's going to be very telling to see if they are able to fix that in between these 2 games, game 1 and game 2, or if LGA will have a quick run to a 3-2 record. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more UAL coverage.
I noticed I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.
And we are back, ready to go. We are excited because that game 1 gave us so much information. It's crazy because in the Ocean Division, as you know, the oceans are also never calm. You never know what lies beneath, and apparently we don't either, because we thought MSU was going to come out with the lead. That's what we kind of were thinking, predicting, and yet Longhorn Gaming Academy came out with a game, number 1.
And much like the ocean you're referencing there, Orbital, I feel like we don't really actually know what's going on under the surface because yes, there was so much information, and yes, so much of it, frankly, I think was hyper specific here because the game kind of revolved around Sandwich and Bob Chucky Joe just dominating the bot lane. If we ignore that, if we look at everything else, the Vacious won the top side of the map despite an early gank from Kind Young so that Penguino could not answer. Penguino bounced back really well as well, caught up in farm, despite a disastrous level 2, level 3 invade to steal away that blue buff. And Zetho as well on that Corki ended up being the potential comeback. He was scaling, he was doing damage as well. So literally, if you ignore the bot lane, MSU, we're kind of winning.
Well, the problem is you can't really ignore the bottom lane in a game of League of Legends. Unfortunately, all 5 players have to be taken into account. And with this knowledge, we have to see if MSU on the blue side this time will have a better chance. Question marks are abound, though. Of course, the Misfortune was one of the big champions. And considering they're on blue side, they may want to pick it up. However, of course, first things first, you have to go about your opening order business. Shaco has to be cleared off the table.
Fair enough there. I mean, the Shaco, judging by how Kind Young Soul just played the last game, his Olaf was not the most finessed champion here. He just kind of ran at you and died. If you give him a Shaco, maybe he's going to be able to be a lot trickier here for Longhorn. I'm curious to see if they do change anything up because they did win game 1, but at the same time, now that they shifted over to red side, I don't know if they have an answer necessarily prepared for that Misfortune or whether they might just want to ban that champion to prevent it from having to play into it.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, right, of red side. It is a little bit difficult. You have to make these hard decisions if you want to ban some of these obvious champions, right? If you want to ban kind of that meta champion that you don't want to deal with, or if you want to let it through, maybe we get kind of the, hey, we know you can't do it, but we're going to do it. We're going to run possibly that Lucian Nami. However, still, looking at MSU's bans, they are staying with the tried and true so far, keeping up with game number 1, the Samira second one off the table.
Okay, so no changes from MSU just yet here. Somewhat expected. Like I said, I don't think it was really a draft issue. Going in for game 1 for them, Longhorn actually continuing to ban out the Kayn. And now this puts them in an awkward situation. Do you ban the Misfortune and open up the J4, in which case MSU might just first pick that? Or do you still ban that J4 and then give up the option for that Misfortune? Babashire has played that Misfortune before, and even last week, as recently as last week, I think that was the game they won, was when Babashire was on that Misfortune.
And surprisingly enough, MSU say it wasn't the Misfortune that was the problem, it was the Braum, and I actually have to give him props here. This is one of the few times I will agree with throwing a support ban for first round, considering how well Bob Chucky Joe was able to enable his ADC. And so maybe their thinking is, hey, no matter what, as long as Braum's on the table, any ADC will pop off. LGA, though, are forced into that Misfortune ban, as you stated. Ooh. So MSU go ahead and say, we'll get the Crying Mummy. We'll go ahead and take that into the bottom lane, give you a little bit of a difficult time. LGA immediately slammed back by saying, hey, we're taking your J4 because you didn't lock it in.
Yeah, and that was why I was kind of wincing a little bit when I saw that Amumu pick up Amumu. Keep in mind, we are on patch 11.20. Did get nerfed on this patch where his mana cost for his bandage toss went up significantly, more than doubled at level 1. And the problem is you don't skill into bandage toss too much early levels either. So, you know, the mana cost definitely hurts a lot and you can't spam it. The damage did go up, but that's scaling damage here. Longhorn picking up Janna as a counter to Amumu. I do like it. The tornado does interrupt that bandage toss coming in, so you can stop the engage, and you can just kind of force a disengage right away when Amumu comes in later on. When you pick that Amumu, you know that that team is probably going to pick some other dive champions that want to get into the thick of it. So having that Monsoon is going to be key.
Well, to get away from that, to make sure that maybe you can run through a couple of those Monsoons or those Tornadoes, hey, go ahead, pick up the Mundo, and an immediate lock-in of the Fane. I think we've seen this before from MSU. They actually did this last time as well, and it fell a little bit flat, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, it was the other side.
No.
I believe it was
Yeah,
actually
they
Return to the
lost
Middle
to the
Stick.
Vayne.
They lost to the Vayne, and now they're saying, hey, bring back the Nightmare. And rightly so. I think LGA, if they actually lock in this Cassiopeia, it is going to be hell on earth for that Vayne. No, it's not. It's going to be the Orianna. Worked last time. Maybe it'll work again.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, Orianna into Vayne isn't exactly a counter. The Cassio would have been a counter, but like you said, Saunders did so well on this Orianna last game. There's no reason to change it. You've got the ball delivery system with that J4 as well. Now, the Vayne pick. Let's go back to that a little bit because I do like the pick into J4. The Cataclysm's buggy enough that you tumble out of it almost every time. And you can condemn people into that wall. So that Colosseum really does favor the Vayne here. My bigger issue is just that it also allows J4 to easily find you and access you in fights. And that Cataclysm, while it might not properly lock you in, is still a signal for the entire team that, hey, Vayne is here. When you tumble and go invisible, Cataclysm often will still chase through.
Not just that, it also means a Shockwave is almost guaranteed to hit as well if they get the combination off, right? There are so many things. So for Bubba Shire to basically say, hey, we are going to take that chance, hey, we are going to take that Vayne, shows a lot of confidence in that pick. The final bans coming out here, 2 mid lane bans from LGA. It was a set. And the Corki. On MSU's side, though, they say, hey, we don't want to deal with the Malphite, so let's go ahead and ban it away. The Sivir taken away as well, saying, hey, we can't let that spell shield go through. So, LGA now going for a full frontal assault. The Twitch is covered, so is the Aphelios running through just about every ADC, landing on the 200 years himself.
Yep, I really like this pickup for the Aphelios. Aphelios with the right guns can trade evenly with that Vayne in lane, and more importantly, later on in the team fights, you've got lots of options here. You outrange the Vayne more often than not, and when you've already got a front line like that J4 to come through, you're more than happy. I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up picking a bit of a bruiser top lane rather than a straight carry. And for the side of MSU, okay, so that's support Amumu, jungle Mundo, and Ornn top.
We see some funky things going around in solo queue. I have seen someone try and do an Ornn jungle. It didn't work very well. I think you are correct with the Mundo going in the jungle, the hover of some weird picks on LGA's side. We saw a little bit of a hover of the Quinn. Please, no one ever. It's just not viable right now. I'm very sorry. That is going to be the Mordekaiser, though.
Nerfing her. They're literally nerfing Quinn next match overall.
We could go on and on about that. They're buffing Teemo. I don't know what else you want me to say about that.
True.
It is Mordekaiser top lane. It looks like it is going to be going up either into the Ornn or Irelia. Since Irelia can be flexed technically, although more or less not, it is going to be in that mid lane.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at champion pools as well, right? I don't think Zetho plays Ornn mid, whereas Novacious is known to play Ornn, which is why we did see the ban come through in game 1 here. So, yeah, I'm assuming it's Dr. Mundo in the jungle, Irelia mid here. And honestly, I like it from MSU. We've said this before, and I said the exact same thing in the last draft. The team identity, the composition isn't terribly cohesive, right? We said that Amumu would like, big wombo combos, likes team fights here. We're not seeing that. Ornn isn't exactly what you pair with that Amumu. Both of them fulfill the same role, which is tanky, engage, initiate. Your damage carries, your damage threats. Irelia is not going to take advantage of the lockdown. She doesn't care if they're locked down. She'll chase them down herself. Likewise with Vayne. Final hour tumble with the passive as well. You go out and you find your own targets. You don't need the lockdown from your front line here. So not super cohesive, but individually, right? The Vayne pickup early, I think, was a little bit early, but yeah, I mean, I guess they were looking at the Janna going, okay, Vayne should be able to win this trade with the Amumu onto pretty much anybody as long as they can get the engage. The Ornn as a counter to what the likes of Longhorn is bringing to the table is good. We touched on the Cataclysm as well. Ornn can break that Cataclysm, freeing people out. His charge does break player mate terrain, and it still gives you the knock-up effect as well. Irelia does very well in lane against the Orianna. So strong individual lanes. The question is, can MSU survive the laning? Because it was the lanes where they fell apart last game. And if you fall apart with this sort of composition, there's not a lot of comeback strength for you in the mid game.
Yeah, if you thought Lucian falling behind was bad, Vayne is quite a bit worse. As much as we hate to say it, it is also a champion that if you get 2 kills, the Vayne will probably run you over. But it's still a very difficult one to have, and considering how far LGA took it, 33 kills against 11, they're looking to do it one more time, and MSU have got to be on their toes. So this time around, MSU on the blue side looking like they're going to put 5 to the top lane and potentially catch Syncrasy out of sorts. Will mean that they give themselves either a great advantage or just a little bit of information.
Okay, we've seen this pick work before, but I think Syncrasy set up far enough this time that he will be able to see the entire gang squad coming through. Will be fine, will be enough to escape for now, and they're still sticking around. No wards dropped just yet here.
Fun little question, because we do see that Sandwich and Bob Chucky Joe are nowhere to be seen here in this invade. If they actually had a 5v5 level 1 fight, who would you take in that scenario? Who would you give the advantage to?
MSU, man.
I figured the answer was obvious, but I wanted to still ask because I thought it was fun.
Yeah, that was why I was a little bit concerned that they were sticking around there, because, I mean, you drop your ward, you walk away. There's no... You're not comfortable on the side of Longhorn trying to actually fight into this composition, right? Orianna needs a little bit more than just, auto attacks to influence these fights. She's probably starting the Q, which is one of her lowest damage spells. Likewise with the Janna, you've got good CC, but that's really all you bring to the table compared to the engage from the Amumu. And Jarvan's Demacian Standard is a very strong buff, but you don't have that signature knock-up, and into the likes of an Ornn, a Mundo who can tank so much, you don't win that level 1 trade.
Yeah, very, very difficult to be able to pull that one out. Great AoE on MSU side, so wisely LGA back out. Yeah, your jungle will be tracked a little bit. Not really going to cause too much concern. However, trading in the mid lane already, Sonder taking advantage of the level 1, which is crazy to think about. At level 1, the Orianna will get some favorable trades off.
Yeah, specifically at level 1, your auto attack, the clockwork passive do a lot. But the moment Irelia gets to go on you like this.
Oh, that's it hurts. Level 1, yeah, maybe Saunders can do something. Level 2, nah, you gotta back away. So, Zethel, a little bit of revenge, gets a solo kill to kick things off.
Yeah, and that's why, Irelia is considered favorite into Orianna. Bot side, ooh, nice bandage toss, but Bob Chucky Joe is fine for now. Yeah, going back to the mid lane, that's why, we say Irelia is a counter pick in lane to Orianna, because your power spike is 1 level. That's kind of it. Saunders just TP'd back.
Oh, that's a rough trade to have. And the worst feeling, and I can say this as a mid laner, whenever you die 1v1 to an Orianna, there are 2 feelings that you usually have, or one or the other, right? One is impending doom. You're just like, well, crap, can't really win this one. The other one is rage. You're just like, I will take any trade. I will try and win this 1v1 because I hate the champion. Sonder at this point, we're still wondering which one they're going to go with, right? The most important factor, though, is Bob Chucky Joe and Kind Young Soul are willing, at least it looks like, to put in the effort to help him out.
I don't know if that's the right call necessarily here. It's triggering a whole cascade reaction down on that bot side of the map here. And even though Longhorn's the first one to move, it's going to be Bubashire moving between the AD carries mid side.
Now we're actually going to get a 2v2, but remember, Saunders doesn't really have anything, and that's just going to be an outright kill. Oh, yes, the burn takes it, but now a trade back. The exhaust goes down, and Bob Chucky Joe once again enabling one of his players, Kind Young Soul, the J4, to pick up 2.
Okay, here. That is a good start for this Jarvan, but you did leave Sandwich alone right now in this bot side, and against an engaged support like Amumu, it is very risky to do that. Silenius, good engage, does get punished on the back end of things, but if you're the support, you happily take that trade if you can continue evenly trading. It's not exactly even, though, because the pots from Sandwich are healing him back up.
Oh, if that tornado had landed, I actually think they would have gone in on Selenius. As much as I hate to say that, I think they possibly could have. But again, like you said, because Sandwich has been left alone, he is a little bit further behind. And both ADCs, keep this in mind, both ADCs have gone longsword in 3 pots. I think that's all that they can buy. So they have plenty of HP to work with. This is something that they both have very well understood and said, yeah, this is what we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and Sandwich actually didn't even get set that far behind. I was worried that he would die in that solo situation, but he didn't. He's actually up in CS a little bit here, partially from when Bubashire roamed up. So that's very good for Longhorn Academy. They're going to be happy with their bot lane. Their bot lane's their least active lane. You don't really pick that Janna for lane control or pressure. it does give you a very comfortable laning phase, and you can poke down, but it's not the primary goal there. Saunders, I want to say Saunders is fine, but that's still half your health. And the Nick, every time you step up, if Zetho can keep doing that to you every time, you effectively don't get to farm anywhere outside your own turret.
You just don't get to play, right? That's the worst feeling in the world, and this is, you know, a minor gripe that I have with Orianna is you don't really ever hard win a lane, right? You don't really have any matchups that you outright crush because of this, exactly because you force kind of your jungler to help you out. But this is going to be a chance, and in a 2v1, it's definitely better odds, but Kind Young Soul can't follow up, so Zethel trading heavily, sending Saunders back to the fountain, is going to be able to stay alive.
They're still sticking around. I think they're looking to see if they can try and catch this Irelia. Saunders did just hit 6, but with Penguino waiting in the wings there, I actually don't favor that trade for Longhorn. I'm glad that they decided to call it off. And if you have to call your jungler in for a 2v1 and you're only trading even, that's a massive win for the side of MSU. They're happy Penguino's continuing to be able to roam elsewhere. And the question is, can he make an impact somewhere else while his mid laner is drawing Kind Young Solar?
Oh, well, this is going to be a bait potentially. We do see the return engage. MSU going to try and flip it around. A nice little hit onto that ADC, but LGA going to try and turn it around with the teleport of their own. They're going to drag in, but a nice takeaway. Penguino says no thank you, but a better tornado. I keep saying better, amazing, whatever. A great exchange of blows means everyone gets to walk away happy.
Hey, man, if you're Bob Chucky Joe, you walk away happier, because as a support, you just single-handedly stopped a potential turnaround, a potential engage to come through. It's beautiful to watch. Selenius.
Selenius not going to enjoy that. A great condemn actually means Sandwich can't get in range. If he had that sniper, that would have been Selenius' life. I don't doubt it for a second.
Interestingly enough, no call from Kind Young Soul to come down and take this dragon. It is Inferno Drake to start us off here in game 2. And if you can push out the bot lane like this, I think normally you just call for that dragon right away here. Instead, Kind Young Soul went up to get his red. Herald spawning about 20 seconds here, but I don't think they get prio.
Sonder lost lost that ulti, and that's going to mean Zethel is going to pick up kill number 1. Could almost turn it around, but Kind Young Soul is going to force the trade. And I mean, you use that shockwave early, you miss, and that is the go word for an Irelia.
That wasn't the only thing that missed either, Orbital. Kind Young Soul did not land the flag and drag. The knockup did not come through onto Zethel. So at the end there, I was actually a little worried for Kind Young Soul as well, whether Zethel was just going to turn and try and find 2 kills off the back end of it. It does mean, though, that this mid lane is completely out of control at this point. Saunders 3 deaths here. MSU get full control of either objective. They only need to basically just rotate Zethel down. And at this point in the game, Longhorn Gaming don't really have a good answer to this Irelia. Maybe topside Syncrasy can still contest, but bot side, Samich and Bob Chucky Joe, at best, you disengage. I don't think you'll win those fights.
Have to agree with you there. There's not going to be too many chances, but you know what is up. You know what they can go for is going to be that Infernal Drake, but Sonder not getting chased out of that mid lane. This is going to be a little bit of a rough time as the rest of the team is going to rotate up. Meanwhile, on the top side, Syncrasy and Levacious are going to try and prep themselves to try this 1v1 because they both don't have teleports. They aren't leaving this lane for a while.
Yeah, and if they don't have teleports, that does favor the Mordekaiser there. He should be able to win out a lot of these trades. So Syncrasy going to be happy with that one. The team can't even blame him for not rotating down. I do want to point out, though, in that chase after Saunders, Penguino did burn the ultimate here. So MSU, once again, not feeling comfortable in trying to go for that dragon right now without that ultimate up.
I don't think anyone's really excited to go for the dragon without ultimates, right? It's just too difficult. And I think for MSU, another one that they're kind of waiting for is Selenius, right? The Curse of the Sad Mummy, they want it up and alive. They want to be able to take that one into any fight that they go for any global objective or any towers, because it's such an integral part of their composition, right? Like, it's a Mumu. You want the ultimate because that's what he is. He is an ult machine, and that's, as much as I hate to say it, that's pretty much your best bet.
They know Kind Young Soul is in the dragon pit there, and Okay, I was wondering if they're going to try and pull it. Pinguino just sat in the bush the entire time, and they don't know right now. I'm wondering if they're going to pull the trigger as Directed Cam just keeps focusing. There we go. Thank you. On that. They pull the trigger.
Yeah, that's a great flag and drag out, though. That could have been a death blow if Kan Young Soul had not buffered that correctly. It will mean, though, that Zethel and Pinguino have complete control of this bottom side river.
There are wards though, and Scuttle does give vision onto that dragon here, so I do think they can just force it if they want, or at least try and clear out the wards. Maybe gank, scare that bot lane a little bit here, buy space and time for Babashara, because once Selenius hits 6, this Amumu, that's when he really starts to come online. And sure, we talk about the Monsoon for Bob Chucky Joe, it's super important, super strong, but a large part of that strength comes from having that Amumu's engaged be denied, and right now Selenius doesn't even have that engaged yet.
I'm kind of wondering how far Selenius is actually down in the hole. Finally hits level 6. I think that was like 2 waves behind, right? Like that's crazy to see, and we can actually see the CS differential coming up on board here. And so far, everyone's staying well within reach, except for, of course, Zethel, who is head and shoulders above.
I think it's a pretty critical difference to point out, because that lead is really allowing them to do all these other plays right now, making these ganks kind of dangerous. He dove on the turret. And he gets out.
I'm honestly not holding my breath most of the time. I'm just like, is Zethel going to get the kill? That's all I care about. Because Sonder, at this point, your life is not in your hands.
True. Kind of true. I mean, that's why we're seeing all the rotations come through, right? Bob Chucky Joe coming up, Kan Young Soul constantly looking mid. We've not seen Kan Young Soul look for ganks in any other lane, and that is pretty rough for a J4. As J4, you want to get the early ganks in. You're not exactly a farming jungler. Granted, Kan Young Soul is doing a great job keeping above CS for Pinguino, but ideally you want to get kills. And to me, that's a problem, because now Ornn is getting to slowly level up, get his ornaments, and down bot as well, Babashire has not been as badly punished. He is down CS, that is expected, but with the pressure they put down, with the J4, those CS deficits could be kills.
Well, they're going to expand it a bit more, right? They are going to drop that Rift Trail and say, hey, look, last time Sandwich was the star carry, getting him out of lane, getting him out of this potential death array is going to grant us a little bit of safety. So this time, LGA will get first tower. A lot of gold handed over to Sandwich's pocket.
Ooh, second charge to come through from Shelly as well. They're on that bot side, and seemingly out of nowhere, Longhorn Gaming Academy, they're finding their leads once again in this bot lane here. It's not the overwhelming, will kill you on repeat, you know, kill both Selenius and Babashara 3 times in lane, but it is that CS differential, it is that pressure, it is those turrets here. And now Sandwich, Bob Chucky Joe, they're unlocked to roam elsewhere, maybe to try and match off against Zethel and buy Saunders another safer lane to try and catch up in CS.
I would say if it's both of them, and as long as the exhaust is up, they do have a chance against Zethel. But you know who is going to have a problem? That's going to be Axe from the far side. Syncrasy is going to try and get the ult down on Levacious and take that trade. Teleport coming in as well. That's going to be the call of the Forge God, getting flashed away from it. Saunders now going to throw a shockwave only onto one member. So little bit disjointed there from LGA. Does mean that Levacious and Pinguino are going to stay alive, but here comes the rest of them. Teleport in. Knockup is there, and Levacious is going to be able to walk away. Potentially a tornado falls through, and that's going to be a Zenith Blade to the face. Oh, no. Potentially a huge jump as Zethel says he's lethal and immediately cleans up 2. Rest of the squad falling in the back line as Kan Young Soul will fall. A 3-for-1 win means that LGA are immediately put right back in their place.
The initial dive was already a little bit sus coming through from the side of Longhorn there. You're diving Pinguino and Levacious. 2 tanks coming through. I mean, Syncrasy got out. Just take the win and disengage at that point here. You just don't have enough damage to facilitate that dive. If you don't have damage there, you don't have sustained damage. Your burst was already blown up front already. They're trying to overforce things, and you have to remember, if Saunders TP top, Zethel can always follow, and Zethel right now is way, way, way stronger in those fights. You saw Zethel clean up, and now Zethel 4-1-1 it's just becoming a bigger and bigger problem. You no longer get to play topside. You no longer get to play mid. Your one winning lane is Sandwich and Bob Chucky Joe in this bot side, and I don't know how much longer that's going to last. Babashar is going to start hitting the point where as long as you don't have red-white on that Aphelios, Vayne can probably start 1v1 trading with you and winning those trades.
I hate to say it, but I think at any point, honestly, Babashar is going to be willing to trade, right? Like, that's the crazy thing. And the worst feeling as well, Lethal has already completed his Wit's End. He is going to be monstrous to deal with. That item gives so much extra back into your pocket for such a low gold amount. With Dragon coming up here, MSU have slowly started their build-up, right? They took the Dragon a little bit later than LGA back in game number 1, so they weren't able to stack him as quickly. But this is still pretty fast, right? If they get the second one, that's going to put LGA even further behind in a situation where even the gold lead is nothing for them.
Well, there's not really much of a gold lead from both of these teams. It's been pretty dead even team-wide. It's individual gold that matters. And thank you for bringing up the gold again, our producer Hypertension. Mid lane, Zetho's got a gold lead. Every other lane, they're in a deficit for the side of MSU here. And so it really just becomes the Zetho show. Can Longhorn Gaming Academy find a way to shut down Zetho? If you can, then you have a gold lead. But if you can't, then you're kind of even for the most part with an edge in team fighting. I'm still waiting for Saunders to get that first mythic, and I think that's what Longhorn's waiting for as well. Once Saunders does pick up that first mythic to come through, likely to be that Luden's there, then I think they start actively looking for fights and trying to gain control, because you don't want to be losing these objectives when you've got a team fight team like that.
Ooh, Kanye and Soul actually getting jumped on here. Loses about a quarter of his HP, and that's immediately the Vanguard Jet is being thrown out because Sandwich is here. Are they going to try and trade it out? And that forces the flash. So Zetho is not going to enjoy what happens next, but he's just waiting for his next round of abilities. That's going to be a call in from the Forge God as it helps. It turns in round 1. Is Zetho going to get another? No, that kill is granted once again to the carry, but the rest of MSU is here. They are corralling LGA inside of their own jungle, but in comes the Moonlight Vigil. Only lands on 1, but the chakrams are up. Is Selenius going to be able to find it? No way in, no way out, but he does it. He is able to trade it back, and the power of Aphelios nets 2. However, the axes are way stronger, as I believe that is a cutlass to the face as Penguino takes 2 of his own.
I have lost track of how many bodies dropped. I think that was ultimately a 2-for-3 trade with Ovacious just barely limping out, and MSU, they're slowly clawing their way into this one. Note that they are down gold, though, and that's 2 things. 1, Zetho having the huge bounty. That death alone was worth another death here. So it's effectively a 3-for-3. And Saunders just split pushing that bot lane, getting himself an inner turret there does give Longhorn a bit more gold. Now, the question is it going to be enough? Leandri's actually the completion here for Saunders. So the burst is not even going to be as big in the wombo combo.
And I kind of like it, right? I hate saying it, but I actually like it because Saunders isn't going to really be allowed to be that big damage dealer. You want the consistent burn. You want the consistent damage where you can try and chip away at Zethel's HP or Bubba Shire's HP bars, right? You are essentially just the entry. You are the initiator because of the fact that, hey, you can chip someone away. Problem coming out, though. 4 members still in the goal. Condemn against the wall actually caught that kind young soul, and they get the bounce right in, so Bubba Shire still can't get a single kill. However, that's a trade of an ADC for jungle with no objectives up.
Yeah, and because there's no objectives up, I think it's worth for the side of Longhorn to take that trade right now. You're just trying to keep Babashar from scaling up. And I want to go back to that Leandri's buy a little bit for Saunders here, Orbital, because when you pick up that Leandri's, sure, you do more chip damage to Zetho, but you don't care about the chip damage to Babashar. Babashar is just going to heal right back up with that lifesteal. Even though you do have the Oblivion Orb, it's not going to keep the Vayne down. It tells me that Saunders right now is looking to try and deal with Ovacious and Penguino, and Sandwich is kind of just like, okay, Sandwich, you know, you've got to now burst down the squishies, you've got to rely on Kind Young Soul, you don't have just one person bursting down the Vayne. I don't know if that's the right call, because I am scared of that Vayne. I didn't like the pick in draft when it came out, but if it's not punished in the later team fights, we already said this was how MSU lost last week to a Vayne, and now Babashar has the potential to pull off the exact same carry performance here in Game 2.
Chances there. The stars are aligned to make it happen and keep their first place hopes alive. Remember, if MSU turn this into a mini reverse sweep, they will have a chance at going straight into first place for the playoffs. Penguino, though, not enjoying that he has to burn that ultimate very early on. He's not going to have to walk into this mid lane push without any extra HP.
And for the side of Longhorn here, they'll be happy to just soak that pressure. Man, they're trying to buy space for Saunders again in this side lane, but there's no vision whatsoever for this Orianna. And if she gets caught by Zethel anywhere, pretty much, she's dead. The teleport won't be able to save her against Irelia's stun.
Yeah. If it really gets on anyone, I'm just calling that death. Like, that's what I feel like. Zethel, even without Flash, has amassed such a crazy amount of equipment, of damage. And it feels like it's only going to be a breeze that kind of cascades all of the craziness, all of this, you know, the damage, the checking of each other at the end of the day. And that could be Dragon, as we are going to look at an Ocean Soul to come out. MSU really wanting that to ensure they get a little extra HP and a great dodge out as Bob Chucky Joe gets just around the wall to not get stunned.
And Bob Chucky Joe didn't even have to burn anything to survive that. That is a big cooldown for the ensuing Dragon here. And Longhorn, they're going to be looking for this Dragon as well. They've got a nice team fight composition. Hero drop doesn't get a charge. Longhorn, they're getting a whole bunch of breaks right now. Can they make it the triple with this Dragon?
Oh, well, Syncrasy is not going to be able to help out too much, as again, there's so many ways to deny that pull. However, the Dragon will be handed over in favor of MSU potentially going for Baron.
Baron?
They're calling a 21.5-minute Baron, and honestly, I can't fault them with Zethel at the head of it. They are going to try and take that chance. It is going down quite quickly, down to about 8k, closing in on 5. Rest of the squad is here. LGA, though, looking for Selenius. Is able to get a great curse that's out of Mummy. But who else can they find? Shockwave lands on the back line, so it's going to be a little bit split. And Syncrasy is going to be the main man to the front line. Look at the damage. LGA burned through MSU. And just like that, Longhorn Gaming Academy shut down everything that MSU had built up. Sandwich is again going crazy with the finishing. Ace blow. What is happening? MSU fall at the seams.
MSU isn't out of it just yet here. Although, yes, Longhorn Gaming are going to be able to pick up Baron and Dragon as well. They get all of this, but the question is, can they push in? What can they leverage from this lead? MSU has been playing the macro better, and because they were playing the macro better before this one fight is not going to be the end of the game, but it could become the insurmountable deficit coming through from them. And for MSU, we've got to break down a little bit about how that fight went down. Why did it go so poorly? And it's, once again, that disconnect between the engager and the rest of the team. Last game, we saw it for Longhorn. This game, Selenius goes and gets a beautiful Curse of the Sad Mummy, but if the rest of the team can't immediately follow you up, Saunders is able to stall you. It's not even about the damage now for that Shockwave. It's just holding everybody off long enough to make that 5v5 with a great initiate a 4v5 with no one to follow up.
And I have to give props to Selenius, right? On that Amumu, that was a great ultimate. Got 4 in the bucket. It just, like you said, no one was able to follow up, and it hurts to see that, right? As Amumu, you're like, man, I did my job. I got the ultimate down. I got everyone. Team, where are you? Where are you? And it fell apart there. So, yes, they're still in it. Yes, they still have a chance. But now, between the period that Orin isn't upgrading items and LGA have a gold lead, they have to pressure this as quickly as possible, right? Levacious here shortly is level 13. Should start upgrading items. Is starting. It will start to careen out of control. So that's why they're forcing this, right? This is 4 members just barreling down. And they feel great. They break the inhibitor at 24 minutes.
Yeah, and Levacious actually even tried to start shading down towards that mid lane, so he's not holding that top lane. He's not getting any experience. Zethel just keeps split pushing here, and it feels like you're trying to push them into a base race situation, but you never win that. Yes, Irelia is fed, but you're pushing up against a Baron team, and you're now trading another inner turret for inner turret and potentially inhibitor as well if they keep pushing.
Yeah, and they're going to call back Syncrasy, who I think this is the right call, right? Keep 4 there. Out of all the members right now that I feel can deal with Zethel alone, it has to be Syncrasy, right? 2 items deep does have that stopwatch, and the range is still going to be towering down. So now we get the recall, right? That is going to be Zethel praying that he can get back to help his team out. But the damage has been done already. Inhibitor down mid. still chasing another. And with the bottom lane being pressured in here, LGA are going to try and get so much out of this. Now they're calling the TP in. They're going to try and break it. They're going to try and get two inhibitors here, and they're easily going to pick it up. LGA, off of an ace, are looking to try and keep pressuring. No, they don't go for the win here, right? Like, there's no way they're going to try it.
They can. I mean, they didn't spend the gold from all those turrets, but if they lose here, what's the worst that can happen? There's no objectives to take. Fight kicks off.
All right, well, they got the ADC. That's going to be big, but that's going to be the Monsoon out. They denied it a grade. Oh, my God. Everyone's locked in the Coliseum. And the damage. LGA, the Wombo combo deals the finishing blow at 25.5 minutes. Longhorn Gaming Academy, they say, screw everything that happened in the beginning. Screw what happened in the early stages. We are going to take the win. We are going to go 3-2. And Longhorn Gaming Academy shut down Michigan State University in a 2-0 series. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see it either, and I'm very excited to see them in the playoff run. Same thing with Michigan State University. I believe they're still in the running to make it into the playoffs, just not as that first seed. And we'll have to see if they can shore it up, right? We saw some glimmers of hope. There was faith in that mid lane Zethel coming out with quite a few won bouts, but you got to kick it up a little bit more. Playoffs headed just your way next week. But with that, that will close out the Unified Advanced League showcase here tonight. And I thank you so much for tuning in again. Congratulations to the side of LGA. They deserve it for that 2-0. My name is Orbital. With me was Random Minion Caster. We have been your casters for tonight with Hypertension back on production. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a fantastic evening.